Am I the asshole for telling my GF she's selfish after I told her I may leave her parents' birthday party early and most likely breaking up with her after the ensuing fight we had? Hey, so I'm a surgical nurse. Sometimes my schedule is awesome and sometimes it can get busy. It's a part of the job, ha. Anyways, it hasn't really affected much about our relationship so far. I attend all of her family events and gatherings I get invited to, and we spend a lot of time together during the week or weekend both. I always find time to be with her. Now next weekend is her parents' birthday party on Saturday. I've been working a lot these past 2 weeks, but that's mainly because I asked for a couple days off during that weekend and on Friday too, so we can help with prep if needed. Today I woke up to a call from my boss. My coworker's mom suddenly died. I'm 28, this coworker is around 30. Her mom was still a young, healthy woman, but they were out by a swimming pool and she got a heart attack if I understood it correctly. They did CPR on her with paramedics for an hour, but unfortunately it didn't help. My boss asked me to come in this Wednesday instead of this coworker. I said yes, of course, that's not an issue, give her all the time she needs to grieve. His coworker also has a Sunday shift, and I said in case no one can take that shift, we are seriously understaffed. I can come in, but I'll be after the party, so maybe a bit tired, ha. It could work, I just have to leave the party early, which starts in the afternoon. Like I would leave around midnight, take a couple hours of sleep. But since that call, my GF was cold to me, telling me there's no way I'm taking Sunday shift, etc. I tried to explain there's only a very minimal chance I will have to, but in case I have to, I will obviously cover for this person. This coworker is one of the few people that always help me when I needed help. Whole morning was terrible. She was angry and I told her she's being selfish. That stuff like this happens and we need be at least a bit empathetic. Then she went off at me saying my boss isn't stupid for doing what she can to keep me from leaving for a different hospital. Because I'm always ready to come and work and I'm always doing all the work that has to be done at work without complaining, etc. Basically calling me a pushover, which I'm very far from. I'm pretty well respected by all the senior doctors because I speak my mind always and stand up for myself and others. After listening to this and arguing about me helping someone whose mom just died, I got angry too. Told her I got enough of this selfish behavior. This isn't the first time she's like this. For example, we only been to 2 events on my family side, and both times I saw my brothers after a long time and we would be having fun and she keep hurrying me to go home. And then she would make a scene in front of my family because at 6 p.m. I wanted to stay an hour longer. Then she went to leave my place. And so I just said, okay, I'm done dealing with this and let her leave. I haven't been responding to her texts since, but she's saying she feels like anything she does is always bad in my eyes, etc. And I was just thinking, did I overreact? TLDR. Am I the asshole for calling her selfish after she got mad? I said I will cover a shift for a coworker whose mom died unexpectedly. Did I overreact?
I, F29, am almost at my breaking point after my husband, M27, walked in a room and asked, "What have you been doing for the last 20 minutes?" while I've been working my ass off. How do I convey the severity of my feelings? Me, 29F, and my husband, 27 meters, have been married for 2 years and just had our first child, who is 11 weeks old. With a newborn, there's a lot more work to be done around the house than before, and I've had a difficult recovery from birth. We've gotten into a routine at night where he feeds the baby her last bottle and puts her to bed, because he's at work all day and doesn't get to spend time with her. Typically, while he does that, I start the dishes and clean up. Tonight, I decided to throw in a load of laundry, clean up our car, pick up the living room, and hand scrub a piece of clothing that had formula spilled all over it rather than starting the dishes. I consciously made this decision because my husband actually knows how to do the dishes, as opposed to a lot of the miscellaneous things that need to be done around the house that he's largely blind to. Husband came out after spending about 15 minutes feeding the baby and asked me what I had been doing for the past 20 minutes, once he saw the dishes hadn't been done. I flipped out because I'm exhausted and burnt out. He insists he asked because he was just curious and doesn't understand why I'm so angry. Am I overreacting? To me, the question does not seem innocent and makes me feel like he doesn't appreciate everything that I do. It also makes me feel like I don't have the space or allowance to relax if, God forbid, I needed a break, even though I was cleaning. He has asked me this question many times before, to the point where I'll have started making mental lists of things I accomplish in case he asks. Also, I am not a stay-at-home mom. I have a high-intensity and demanding job and am returning from maternity leave in a few weeks. I am almost at a breaking point. My husband used to treat me like a princess, especially when I was pregnant. Now I feel like he has no appreciation for me or how hard this has been. How do I convey the severity of this without it seeming like I'm making a huge deal out of a little comment? TLDR. My husband asked me what I've been doing for the past 20 minutes after I had been working my ass off, and it's almost got me to my breaking point. My 26M husband wants a divorce but wants to stay with me, 26F. We've been married 6 years and have a 4-year-old son. Thoughts or advice? We separated 2 years ago. My son and I moved back to my home state, and with my parents. We were constantly fighting before I left, and it got really bad, so he told me he wanted a divorce. I was very hurt emotionally when I left and had a lot of mental health issues / everything he put me through. I accept I am also at fault for our problems. As I was healing, he reached out to me and wanted to get back together. At first, I refused, but I eventually gave him a chance. During this time, he found out that I reported him for not providing financial support. He's military and obligated to provide for his family since we were still married. So he was forced to send me a set amount each month. He was soon to be deployed, and I wanted to make sure he helped me with our son before he left. He was hurt, so I eventually filed for divorce and sent him the paperwork for him to sign while he was deployed. He was the one in a hurry to divorce. I told him I would wait till he returned. He never signed it, and we began talking again and healing together. The case was dropped due to no progression. He returned a year ago, and we've still been separated. He's selling the house and moving back here closer to my son and I next month. We've grown so much and have gotten to a really good place, but we still have occasional fights. I have trust issues and become paranoid about many things, so this also causes fights. Because of this, he suggests that we divorce but stay together and keep trying. He says marriage is only a legal obligation and it shouldn't matter. He prefers to do it before it gets any worse between us. He wants to protect himself financially, / he doesn't want me going after any new house he buys. He also wants to make sure he gets time with our son and that it is legally written down. I was originally fighting for full physical custody and possible supervised visitation / he was an alcoholic and never watched him. I've seen him get better and agree that he has every right to have his time with our son. I also understand a boy needs his father. He claims this is for me / say it will show me that he truly loves me and cares for me. That this will help me see that he'll always be here for me even though there's no legal obligation, like giving me more assurance. Thinks it might be better for us and we could also live our lives separately but still be together. I don't agree with this and told him if we divorce he's going to lose me / say I will not keep trying. He says he'll keep trying anyways. I'll always care for him, but I prefer to co-parent and move on and be single instead. I see this only causing more issues for me and can't help but think he's just been manipulating me into getting a better outcome in divorce. Anyone agree with him and could give me more perspective to this? I feel like I deserve better. He still calls me like nothing's changed and tells me he misses me and checks on me, which is very confusing for me.
My GF, a 35, makes much more than me, a 39, and it's causing division. What to do? My GF, a 35, makes 600 substantially more than me, and 39, 85 Kier. Posting from a throwaway. She's in a career where you need a master's. My career is in a good sector with growth potential, but hard to match hers unless I also get a master's. I work 2 jobs and both are at non-profits, so the pay is less than the for-profit side. She didn't pay for school, so no debt or loans. We both have a lot of savings. Background. She wants to keep financials separate when we get married. I get people will keep money earned before marriage separate and inheritance separate, but I always thought money earned during marriage is joint and that marriage is coming together of everything. That's how I was brought up and my expectations. However, I'm willing to go along with her wishes and set up a joint account. But even though before marriage, it's frustrating and I'm not sure if I want to live my life like that. She is frugal to the point of it being a character defect. I am more relaxed and of the mindset that money comes and money goes, enjoy life. I think that if I have to put in 100% of my income to a joint account, it's unfair for her to get to put in 20% and save the rest. I said if I make more or if we switch places, I contribute more, but she says that is easy to say and it wouldn't be true if it actually happened, whatever that means. The situation. Normally when joint income is so high, it's a blessing, I would think, but it's causing a lot of friction and resentments. Here are some examples. I hope these examples help explain the situation since I have had such a hard time writing this post. I want 2 kids and she say I don't make enough for 1 kid and that I can't afford to live, let alone raise a child. She keeps referring to it as being able to afford my kid, who's our hypothetical kid. I save maybe 20% of my income and some months I break even, but I still am told I shouldn't go to Chipotle for lunch or even use too many paper towels because they are expensive. She also gets really mad when I tip. She puts in $1 for a taxi and I put in 15%. I used to work for tips as a summer job, so it's important. She is so very against the man making less that she wants to split everything 50-50ths, so what I put in she puts in, not a penny more, as a way to hammer home this feeling. She keeps saying I need to look for higher paying jobs, and I should apply to 100s a day like the house is on fire. I do apply just as I have time. I have a weekday job and nonprofit as well as a weekend job. My therapists say I have quality, respectful employment and I should be proud of what I do. Plus, I work 2 jobs, so I'm not sitting around being lazy. She said the man should be the provider. She wants to buy the house so it's in her name and not both our names and I pay the taxes. But in this scenario, I'm not building any equity. When I suggest splitting the mortgage 50-50ths and both being on the deed, she says she wants to buy a 1mm house out of my price range, which is $700K. When I bring up the $700 house, she says she refuses to live in a poor area, So then the only option is to each own different percentage of the house 60/40ths, and I pay 40% of the mortgage and she pays 60%. But she says that isn't fair to her because she is taking more risk. But I said you also get more of the upside by owning 60% or whatever the split ends up being when we sell it. It's like you invest more in the asset and you get more ROI when we sell. So the house thing is a standoff. The root of the problem. The income difference is a real point of resentment for her, and she uses terms like, I refuse to be the breadwinner, etc. I said that couples I know where both partners work, it is never the same income. Unless you'd have the same job at the same company with the same benefits, it will be different. For example, my job puts 10% of my salary into a 4,013 bits and I have great insurance. Her job makes a lot more, but benefits are less. I feel emasculated and worthless, and like my jobs don't matter. There is more to marriage than money. Who cooks, who takes care of the kids, who does other stuff around the house? How can a marriage be defined by the take-home pay? I know people who are miserable and work all the time and it's toxic, but perhaps to her point, I am not making enough in this world of high cost of living. We also live in a high-cost blue state. I should make more, and I am applying to 125 pay range jobs, but happy to do it slowly and not rush out of a job I like. Some other contexts, she also thinks she is poor and her parents, while very well off and have 10+ million, are the same way. They will take all the napkins and plastic forks from a restaurant or all the sugar packets from a diner. Or if there is cream in half and half-brim cups and take it all, just to save money on sugar, napkins, and stuff. There's being intentional on spending and cost-conscious but also frugal to the point of concern. People can exist at both ends of the spectrum. I feel like they think they are poor like anorexic people think they are fat. I'd want to have kids and figure out the costs as we go. I mean, college isn't for 20 years. Should I adapt to her ultra-frugality and try to make more money, or is this relationship something that isn't going to work due to the income difference? Like I said, I thought it would be a blessing if joint income is so high. Instead, it is just a cluster of fighting, anger, and resentments on all sides. We are seeing a couple therapists for the first time today, so any advice on what to bring up? Is this all a control thing? Thank you for any advice.